Hey guys, it's Will here, coming at you with a very special unboxing. You may have seen ties from this from my last two or three army boxes I've unboxed that have a very particular theme, and I have stuff in the works to start that new series I really want to, but with things kind of going on with my personal life and health, it's kind of made me have to speed up the starting of this video stuff. As you can hear, I'm banging out a box. We're just going to start this project and we'll see what the future holds. But thank you all for watching, and let's get right into it, which is the Island Assault. As you guys have seen, again, like I was saying, I'll post it up here. I've done a video unboxing of the US Marines and the Japanese starter boxes. Now, if you want to play by yourself, or maybe this is a side game you want to play with your friends, try it out. This is a great choice. I don't remember exactly the prices. If I remember them, I'll put them here somewhere. But yeah, there's that, or the Band of Brothers, which gives you a house, so that's cool. This gives you, everything you need to play it. I mean, everything, technically. I say technically for reasons you'll see later on. But if you are into the Pacific and you play war games, or you want to, by yourself and stuff, the starter boxes, the start collecting army boxes, battle force boxes, whatever you want to call them, I would highly choose over that instead of this, just because you get a full force specifically to that. The contents that you get in this box, if you put both sides together, equals the same amount as a 2 vehicle starter set. TLDR for those who don't see my other videos, how Warlord Games, and they been getting away from that nowadays, but how they used to rate their boxes back in the day was how many vehicles did you get in the box. The biggest one being the 2 vehicle boxes, which usually range around the same price as this starter set. You're better buying, it's going to be cheaper in the long run if you buy those boxes, because like the US Marine box is definitely a lot cheaper than the Japanese box, but the US Marine box, you don't really get a tank and stuff in it. You just get like a half track, but a lot of infantry, and you get good value that can fight against each other with those boxes anyways. So unless you're actually fully starting into it, or you want to get both armies to kind of get a taste of a different theater. So enough ramblings. Let's get right into this opening. I'll have a tag so you guys can hop around and be like, hey, where's what, where's when? So you guys can see the stuff. And I do have some extra models that I've bought. As you may have seen with the US Marine box, there's a tank that I would recommend getting. I have its transport version, so these are a couple extra vehicles I'd recommend pick up on the side, either if you bought the starter boxes separately or if you bought this box. But let's get right to that. So without further ado, we have the front here, gloriously illustrated. I love this guy's art. Then of course we have, it's a big box. We have the side here, and then of course we have the back end. So we have the back here. We're just going to kind of go across the box, so you kind of have the sort of like what's this box about, everything you need, coolio, what you get in it. So basically you get equal amount of dudes, all the plastics and stuff. And then we have the armies kind of laid out here with the stuff. Then of course we have the books. Of course, on the side of these boxes, just like if you saw my Gentleman War unboxing, there is, ads. So we got like Cruel Seas, which is a game they don't really support anymore. Again, it was kind of overpriced what you get. Like I won't get into it, but I think if you got a 3D printer, Cruel Seas is awesome. I like it a lot more, the scale at least, than Victories at Seas, or yeah, Victory at Sea. Though if you like World of Warships, Victory at Seas is great, and they give you stuff for it. So I did open this to check again, just like everything else I review. I open them ahead of time just to check to make sure everything's in there. There is supposed to be a A5, so a pocket rulebook in here. I gave it to somebody who was just getting into the game because I have a bunch of them anyway, so I just gave it away to him. But everything else in here should be still here. Again, doing the same thing that I loved that they did with Gentleman's War, which is a introductory game, but I think they do it better in this one than Gentleman War, which is kind of like you have your little sheets here that tells you about the different factions, again with very glorious arts. You have how they recommend you build the list, and I'm going to build it this way. Your tank, your different templates, and again, these are cool because these are to scale, I believe. So if you wanted to, and you wanted to get more, you could just print these templates out, and you'll have a bunch just to lay around on the field. And of course we have the Americans, how they're built, their half track, how to paint their models, which has Army Painter in Vallejo, which I'm going to keep these. I really like this. Though if you want a good book about how to paint stuff, I know they make PDFs for okay-ish prices, but they don't cover a lot of stuff. They cover very specific things, which I still recommend getting from Warlord Games if you want a good painting guide if you're brand new to this and you're playing a different army that's not in this box. Or there's the Colors of War book that was made by, I think it's Plastic Soldier Company or whatever. It's the people who make Flames of War. Their book, there's an old book that used to do Army Painter, but their new book that they print does Vallejo only. But it's very easy to swap the colors over. I use it to say, like, what general colors do I need? Because, again, Vallejo, Army Painter all kind of use similar-ish colors depending on what set you buy. So, like, leather is still leather, so on and so forth. Here we have an example of the field. Again, they don't think you're going to use any sort of terrain here, just maybe a mat with some foam under it for hills. And then again, it tells you what do you need, which again, all this is in here except for the mug, which I wish there was a mug. And the tape measure, of course, being those cardboard ones you'd cut out. Then we have how to, and this is the thing I really like about this box set, that Gentleman War I don't think did, but this, basically the next few pages here is going to take you a step-by-step what a turn is, what the words are, information about like your weapons and stuff. Oh. It tells you information about your weapons and stuff at the top here. And more information, what your different stats mean, so on and so forth. And of course, art. And this is basically what that cardboard cutout looked like, was this. So you and your friend who's splitting this box can each get one. Or you can photocopy this. And I got a bunch of those. So we'll put that to the side here. These are actually really great to read. I recommend reading them because there is some history in there. It's great. We have our transfer sheets and data cards for the vehicles. As you can see that there's two for the, two for the Japanese. That's because there's two different versions of the tank that you can build out of the one. It's basically just turret changing. We have our general boxer that put everything together. We have our order dice. Our burnt markers. So we have our resin pieces, which I think this is one of the, if only the only starter box that they make for Bolt Action that comes with resin models. I know their Conflict 47 stuff all comes with some sort of metal or resin. Then we have, and of course they're actual single player, so I mean like two players, like, you know, they're starter boxes. This is it. They're single person start collecting army boxes all do come with metal and resins. But for the 2-player starter boxes, somebody just getting right into it, because they know people who are going to get into this are probably from Warhammer and stuff, it's just going to be plastics. And of course, the nice thing is these resin pieces are already pre-built, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, we have our half track. We have a crap ton of bases, which is great because you can always need more, and I do need to buy more because I got those Canadians that have to rebuild. I have to build like base. And we have sprues, 4 and 4 of the sprues. Again, if you guys want detailed looks at these sprues, please go take a look at my other videos of those armies. Again, the links will be, you'll be able to see them down below in the description, or under the description, or bases. We have Japanese tank, our single weapon sprue for the Marines, a thing of laying down, and our little guidebooks for the Marines, the Japanese, and a half track, and the instruction for the tank. I think, here it is. And the cutout sheets for the flags. So that's the contents inside the box. Now we're going to get into the second part of the video here, where I'm going to look into more depth of the resin bunkers and stuff that came with this, and the other vehicles I'd recommend buying, or at least looking at if you bought the starter box or the 2 separate army collecting boxes. Now again, the reason why we're not going into the in depth with the sprues that are in here is I've already done them in other videos, so I'd really appreciate if you guys go look at those videos, even if you use the time stamps to skip to the specific models. It would help a lot. So we're going to save the video for that in my sanity when I go to edit this. So let's get into the second part where we take a look at the models. Okay, so we're back here. So we're going to take a look at these models here. These models. So we're here to look at these models, guys. I'm gonna just open this up. These do come with all the boxes. They're not like a special or anything. So we're just gonna open them up. And yeah, I'd say they are actually the correct size to what was in the book. So if you guys wanted to cut out stuff and not worry about really painting these, or have multiple of them because you're doing a campaign and stuff, go ahead and copy that page. Of course, working with resin. Now, for the most part, you don't really have to worry about this with these models, because there's no cutting to do with them. They're just molded, like a pour mold. So, but these are really useful if you buy a vehicle. So you have our spider nests here with the gun ports, the top there, and some leaves and stuff. This will be really nice to paint up and throw on a table. And then you got your little entrances. So the idea is, like, this is the main where your gun is, kind of like a bunker. And then your exits for the bunkers are these 2 pieces right here. Well, is basically this piece here can be, but like this is your, and you can see it here actually pretty well. This is a machine gun nest. So this is like if you want to buy a bunker for a machine gun emplacement. So with the differences between the two, I ignore the last thing where I said that they're entrances, but you could if you wanted to, is this is your machine gun hole. So if, say, you wanted to buy an emplacement for your machine gun, this is it right here. Well detailed. We have also our hole for, you can either, if you wanted to say this is an entrance into this tunnel system, or use this for your mortars. We have that here. Again, nicely, highly detailed. This is a pour mold. It's not a 3D print. So it's high modeling quality. And then we have our main nest where you can actually have infantry units in it and stuff. The big old palm leaf and dust and dirt over it. And I'd still dunk these in room temperature water just to clean them off. Make sure there's no mold release agent on it. There's still oil and stuff on the bottom. We're gonna look into the vehicles I would recommend for buying onto your boxes. Of course, everyone says, you know, get more infantry. If you can find 10 more dudes, go ahead. Like if you buy an extra sprue off their website, or in your local game store, you order in their sprue, and you have bases, I would do that if you bought this 2-player starter box. But if you're good with the units that you have and you want to get a vehicle, or you bought the single solo player, you know, on their own army starter box, these would be the next ones I'd recommend. more thematic than, you know, tactical, just because the Pacific Theater had some pretty cool, unique vehicles that the other places didn't really see, but you can still technically use in a competitive game, not a narrative game. So, starting with the Japanese, I would recommend is the Chinu. Please forgive my butchering of the name. But this is a resin. This is a resin model by Warlord, and it's got really cool suspension. They actually had a pretty cool looking suspension system for the Japanese tanks. And the reason why they're not super well known about until recent days is because they were so hard to find or lend their tank vehicles to museums and stuff. Like, I think there's 2 or 3 in general of like all their tanks that are known or collected, maybe even like 4 or 5. The person in the comic collection section that keeps correcting me will let you guys know how many of them exist, but they're very, very few and very rare. But anywho, so we have the turret stuff, really good. The reason why I recommend this is more the closest thing you'll have to a actual like Sherman in the Japanese army for its point cost, its armor value, its turret, its gun. It's the closest thing to a Sherman that they're going to get. Though this is kind of more of a what-if vehicle, as these were designed to basically fight Shermans and stuff, and they were made in a lower number, just like most of their tanks. Just the fear of America coming in, which it's a legit fear, legit, knowledge, seeing as how the war was going when this was made, was that they thought the Americans were going to come in and invade Japan, like a landing, like they did with Normandy or Palu and stuff like that. So they built these for land defense. Of course, the land was bigger, so they could drive around more stable ground and roads, but that never really happened, and they theoretically maybe sent some of these out to their actual larger forces on larger islands. But anywho, that's the first vehicle I'd recommend for them. A general overall, if you're going more actual IGA and not a mix of special naval force and stuff like that, which you can make out of that box, the one we're reviewing, is the SSKI. This is their engineering vehicle. Again, one of their more resin vehicles. Same sort of instruction warning, but of course this one's going to have a lot of little tiny metal bits, just as a warning to people, so when you do cut them off their sprues and stuff, be careful that you're not accidentally cutting a nozzle, because this thing is their engineering vehicle. This thing looks pretty sick. It's basically almost like a modern day engineering vehicle for most countries. The reason why you get this is because besides being able to, lay bridges and tow vehicles and stuff and tow guns, is it has 6, I think it's like at least 4 flamethrowers on this damn thing at its most powerfulest. It has like a crap ton of flamethrowers. It's a low profile. It's got good armor for its point cost, and it's the haha no you if you want to gotcha your opponent for the Marines. And it's one of those very few models that are really good, really theme fitting in a Japanese like IGA army in a larger scale. So when you do finally get to pull this thing out to play with, it's a lot of fun. And again, it's something I'd be courteous to your opponent, be like, hey, I'm bringing a model, this model here, that has is a big threat, or like, hey, it has these guns on it, and even be willing to show them like, hey, this is what actually shows on there, because they're not going to believe you when you're like, this vehicle has like 5 flamethrowers, and they're going to be like, what the fuck? But yeah, this would be the other vehicle I'd recommend getting next to the unless you're doing a lot of water, which then it would be the water floating version of the tanks that they get. But if you're doing more land stuff, this vehicle is it. That's the Japanese. Now onto the Americans, which if again, in that other video I recommend, I keep saying go check out, there's a tank version of this. And now here's the actual transport version of this. Now, why I recommend getting this, if you know, the box already has a half track. Why not just get a Sherman? And with that, I would say that is the most obvious choice. And of course, that would be right. If you don't know anything and you're not 100% sure you want to play with Marines, or maybe you want to do a different US thing, or even a different Allied faction, the Sherman is the most like highly recommended, like generic golden retriever-esque, like you're a fool for not playing Sol Ring in your commander deck sort of vehicle in the entire game, along with the Panzer IV. Those are the two tanks that any army or Allied and Axis player should have in their collection, no matter what faction they play. But again, as I'm saying here, I'm not calling anyone dumb. I didn't mean to come off that way. I'm just saying the Sherman is super, and again, this is, you got to think about it too. I'm doing this from experience. So for me, my brain, I just caught it being like, oh, well, no, duh, you should have a Sherman. Of course I would say that because I've been in this for a while. But if you're somebody new, you may not have known that. And I would highly recommend getting a Sherman. If you're getting the Pacific box, on the other hand, though, you're getting it because you really like that Pacific theater. And you get some very specific vehicles. And this is why I've chosen this. And looping back to that, why this over the half track is because this can be both a tank, theoretically, and a transport. And if you're really good friends with people, you can, because the hull is the same size as the tanked version, which has the gun turret on the top, which again is in that other video, you can just be like, yeah, this is the tank version, I'm not taking it as a transport, and then you run the half track as your transport. So with that out of the way and me trying to cover myself up with my mad rabblings, let's take a look of what you actually get in this box. So you have the instruction there, you have the little history about it. So let's open this up here. I like to steal the plastic faces out of these to use for like when I get bonus sprues and stuff, which I did for this. I got airborne bonus sprues, so that's cool. Make sure there's nothing else in here. Your instruction manual. We have our half track and decals. And again, you can build this so that the back is open. It's open topped. It's amphibious, so it can go through water. And of course, medium machine guns. It's got 2 of them. So of course, they started to do it like they did with other vehicles. So this gives you dice. I think maybe the Chi-Nu gave you a dice. I can't quite remember. So forgive me on that if I'm wrong. We have our 2 tracks, armored. And of course we have the back here. We have the benches and machine guns and ways. We have the door. Yeah, so this would be the other vehicle I'd recommend for the Americans. I might just chop the door and keep it closed. They do make models that you can buy that can glue into here. There's also, you'd probably find crew and stuff from 3D Printing Company, but you can also use some if you got some free Americans and stuff with your order, or if you have an extra sprue somewhere, you can glue them in, and it's to scale for the most part. They do make a crew, weapon crew you can buy that go in here separate. So there is ways to make this crude and not crude. But with that, guys, I'm going to go build all this stuff, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the box in general, show the models off. We'll see you guys at the end of the video. Here you go, guys. We have the models somewhat built. These are just some I pulled from the other starter boxes. So here's a quick look to look at, along with the 2 models I just built beforehand. We have the Japanese. These are all made with possible by the models in the box. And of course, some of the special pieces alongside them. But we have that. And with that weapon sprue, you can make a bazooka team. And then, of course, with the USMC sprue, you have some special arms that are sleeveless. And on the Japanese side, we have our lieutenant. have, I believe the head is the only thing that's different. We have dude with a stabby bit. We have our LMG. And of course the tank. Yeah. But yes, that guys, this has been the Island Assault box. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the quick look at this. Again, more details in other videos, but it is a great box if you want a different take than just Germans versus blank. I would highly recommend this, though I still think the Gentleman War is a lot better, just because it is literally just like two start collecting boxes together. This is a great alternative to that. And yeah, besides that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll hopefully see you later on in our new series that's going to be coming out. Bye-bye. Click the video. Click it. Click the video. You know you want to. Click it.